All right, class, we're going to start with now I have a survey. What do I do? As I showed you from the email final survey of ASI, either put this survey online for your company or every individual working on a project. For instance, every student working on ASI should get a certain number of surveys, go out and get their sample to answer each of the questions. That's what we call collecting data. Prior to doing that, just make sure you create some sort of place to put all the data. For instance, I did this in Google Drive in class, and now I'm doing it in Microsoft Excel. I would write in the first column part of a committee. Now note, I'm doing it as if I'm not going to upload it to SPSS. If I was going to upload it to SPSS, I would need to remove all spaces and use only underscores, no dashes. Part of, or just write part of committee. If no is 0, yes is 1, and unsure is 99, then I would need to have that in a code book somewhere so everybody knows. And when you finish collecting all of the responses to your surveys, just sit down at your computer and input the responses. So let's say that your friend Susan filled this survey out and she said, yes, she's familiar with ASI. I put a 1 here. Please note, and I didn't mention this in class, always have an ID number. So number each of your surveys so you know who the data is for. And also feel free to put in surveyor. That way you know who screwed up or didn't screw up. And in this case, you can just use initials, an IMKS, and the ID. I numbered my surveys from 1 to 150, and this is survey 23. Part of committee, she said yes. Is she familiar with ASI? She said obviously, because I serve on a committee. She's very familiar, so if not familiar is 1, somewhat familiar is 2, very familiar is 3. I put 3 here. Are you aware of the services? Services awareness. I'm not going to worry about spelling right now because I'm rushing. And then this should say very aware, somewhat aware, not at all aware, and obviously she's very aware, so she got a 3. If you answered very familiar on question 2 and 3, by what form of marketing did you become aware of ASI? Since I can select all that apply, I need to put email, flyer, word of mouth, social media, because I can select more than 1, okay? And it's really hard to put multiple responses of 1 person, respondent, respondent 23 is going to write that she both heard through word of mouth and social media. So she didn't hear through email, so she didn't circle it, it gets a 0. She didn't hear through flyers, so she didn't circle it, it gets a 0. She did hear through word of mouth, so I put a 1. She did hear through social media, and she didn't hear through other. Note, let's say that Hadaya fills this out next. I'm stumbling on your initials, I'm sorry. And she had survey 12, okay, and let's say Allie fills it out as well, and she had survey, 100, 101, and so on. They fill out their respondents based on what the survey said. And so you just continue to put in all of the variables in here. For something like this, again, it's just student representation. Student rep goes here. Cougar pride goes here. Balls goes there. Balls, I love that. We'll see what they say. And so on. And then if my respondent said she was very satisfied with balls, I'd give her 5. But then she says, she's neutral about cougar pride, I'd give her 3, and so on. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then either 9 and 99 here. Okay, so that's all I'm going to talk about with regards to what's next. The other question we had today was, boom, crosstabs and chi-square using the Karl-Strauss data. So I've got the Karl-Strauss data here. And it's going to take a second to open. But just a reminder, you know, we went over this idea of inference to try to figure out some p-value and level of significance. And so we're going to go through a bunch of inferential tests. First was chi-square. Remember, crosstabs, and this is your homework, is the descriptive portion. Okay, we went through chi-square today. So the question just asked us today, does a particular location appeal more to males than females? And the null is that they're not related, and the alternative is that they are. So I would go to Analyze. I would go to Descriptive Statistics, Crosstabs, and click it. My variables are gender, so I put it in there. Right-click to see what these say. Okay. Location preference, we go in here. And this is going to do the descriptive portion of the crosstab. Now I need to go into statistics and make it do my chi-square test of independence and my phi and Kramer's yeast test of strength. As I said in class, the phi is for a 2x2 table, rows, columns, and so we had a 2x3. And so I hit cells as well and make sure I put the percentages out just because it makes it easier to see. I wonder if this is going to freeze on me and shut down. It does that sometimes. There you go. It's too much stuff on my computer. So we're going to open that back up, hopefully, and just run the crosstab. Analyze, descriptive stats, crosstab, gender, right click, display variable names, location preference, statistics, chi-square, Kramer's V, cells. I want all the percentages. Continue. Okay. This second table, the first table just tells me it ran for a N of 100. The second table is my cross tabulation. The third table is my chi-square test. The fourth table is my Kramer's V test. This is the Pearson chi-square. That's all I'm interested in. The value is 1.561. The degrees of freedom are 2. And the p-value is 0.458. The Kramer's V statistic is 0.125. Okay. Now, when writing that up, as I did in class, you would write it up using this example. The sample size would go here, and you change all this so that it says there is not a significant relationship, and thus you would reject the null, or fail to reject the null. So we cannot reject the null, would go here, okay? So you need to go into your slides and make sure you update this so it's adequate for what you're trying to say. Here is the name of the test. Here are the degrees of freedom. That would be 2. N equals 100 would go here. The test stat, again, would be this value, 1.56. And then the p-value would be 0.45. And then you conclude that there is not a relationship between gender and location. Lastly, I said, okay, so the inferential test was not significant, but is there, your homework is to figure out, is there a descriptive difference that you can see? In particular, in this example, the table allows us to see at a glance that the proportion of men who are right-handed is about the same as the proportion of women who are right-handed. See, males right-handed, the number is 43. Females right-handed, the number is 44. Okay, the difference isn't significant, or we can't tell if the difference is significant without doing the test we just did earlier. So your job is to go down here, and at a glance, when I look at males, is the number that prefer Costa Mesa different than females and the number that prefer Costa Mesa? One's 19 and one's 20. So you tell me. Okay. Also for the homework, I want you to have an answer to the same question for Temecula and for Carlsbad. See you later.